Buenos dias, buenos dias. Another day, another life. Happy Friday. It's a beautiful day in Las Vegas. You know, I just wanted to get into a little topic of, it's a biblical story, right? It's called David and Goliath. And it's a very popular story in this life, right? Not only in America, a lot of people know this story. It's historical, right? But a lot of people take a lot of things or context out of it about that story, about David and Goliath. And the way how they take out the context of the important part of that story is that first they when they bring it up, they talk about a smaller guy versus a giant, right? And how sometimes a smaller guy defeats this giant. That's always the theme of the story. A smaller guy beating a giant. And they apply that in many perspectives, like especially in business, in anything, in fights, stuff like that, right? The David and Goliath story. And I'm very familiar with this story because I used to get pumped up reading this biblical story. But getting pumped up, meaning when I used to get inspired from it, it wasn't the fact that he was bigger and he was smaller. Oh yeah, of course, that's very inspiring. But people don't know that the way that he demolished or killed this giant, right? It was the confidence that he had. The confidence in God. That was where the power came from. He had confidence and he had faith and he believed that he served a big God that no one can go after. So that's what I'm trying to say, that people don't know about that. That they always want to take out the God out of it, right? That how he was able to defeat this enemy of his, which wasn't his enemy. It was Israel's enemy. And Israel and many other countries was fear of this giant, right? I'm not too sure how big he was. They say he was 8 feet, 10 feet. Because back in biblical times, supposedly they were giants, right? Supposedly. But do I believe it? Yes, I believe it, right? Back in those times. So, and what's so inspiring about this story, right? David, he was a little kid. I mean, he was a youngster. I'm assuming he was a young teen to a young adult. And he didn't have no experience in war. He didn't have no experience in fighting. He didn't have no experience in battles. He was just a young shepherd that helped work at his dad's ranch. Well, it wasn't called a ranch before, right? That take care of the sheeps. And he was good in music. He was a musician. He was not only a musician, but he would glorify God in his music. I mean, this guy was so in tune with God through music and his lifestyle and his faith. That's what gave him the confidence of not scared of anything. I think before he killed this giant, or he defeated this giant, he defeated a lion. He defeated animals that people fear of facing, and he defeated with his bare hands. And he was a kid, and he defeated it, like I said, by the power of God, by the confidence of God, and God giving him that ability. Yeah, maybe he grabbed the rock and still stuff like that, but ain't nobody gonna get a rock and go against a lion, right? That's why this thing with a gorilla versus 100 humans, them 100 humans probably ain't got no faith in God, right? All it takes is faith and confidence. I'm not saying that I'll beat down a gorilla, but if I had to face a gorilla, first things first, I'm praying and I'm going to have confidence that God's going to have my back. And I'm going to stand on that. So, that's all I got to say, right? But with this story with David and Goliath, right? What I'm trying to say is that people always either they take it out or they don't know that he was a man of God. You got to understand, when it was time for war, when Goliath was calling out all these people, men of Israel, nobody wanted to fight him 1-on-1. Like, kind of like today, like a street fight. Like a dude be like, hey, come on, man, let's head up. You know, he's a giant calling all these dudes and nobody wanted to head up. And back then you head up with a sword or whatever, right? That was a style of street fight. That was combat. It's like going in a cage in UFC or in boxing, a 1-on-1 fair fight. He was asking for a fair one, but he was a giant. But can't nobody man up to him or square up with him because his size, right? But a lot of them feared his size, and they didn't have the confidence from God, or they didn't have that faith from God. This is the importance of this story of David and Goliath that I try to analyze when I hear how people use it in business. Because when they use it in business, they use, like, they're gonna go against something so big that if David could do it, they could do it. No, David did it through God. Remember that. David did it through God, right? So, and let me mention this. David had brothers, and they were all well-trained warriors. They were all trained fighters. They were men of war. They were men of battles. And these were his older brothers. It's like someone today, you have brothers training mixed martial arts and boxing. But if you don't have the confidence or the faith in God, it's useless, man. It's nothing. Regardless if it's a regular fight, a real fight, you're going against an animal, a gorilla, or in business, everything, you have to have that confidence that God is with you. There's a saying, it's a biblical saying, if God is for you, who can be against you, right? And it's a true saying. And it's the same thing with today, you know, like a country like Israel. People know the history of Israel. It's a country that always believed in God, and they fought many countries, and they fought all their surrounding countries throughout history, and they never got wiped out. You can hear about other countries getting wiped out, right? But I don't want to go into all that part, right? But I'm trying to say is that this is about David and Goliath. So the story behind David and Goliath is, never forget that the reason he was able to conquer Goliath was that he had confidence that God had his back, and he had faith that through God he's able to demolish his enemy or defeat his issue or his problem. So that was just my topic today that I wanted to share. You know, that I always, when I scroll through social media or when I read books about business, they would always use that analogy of David and Goliath, but take out the part that God was the one who really was able to help David, or he gets the glory, right? He didn't get the glory out of it, because David, when he was able to kill this giant, he gave God the glory. He said it was through God. It might have been a brutal murder because it was a giant and it was war, but he still gave the glory to God, and he knew his victory came through God. So that's what I wanted to share today. Something that always been on my mind that I wanted to talk about and share. And it's a very great story. If you could look into it, you know, there's a series coming out on some kind, I think Amazon network, or you can read about it. You know, reading it is more accurate than watching it in a show. It's in the Bible. I think it's in the book of Samuel. And it's a very good story about, you know, about war, and of course it's about having a relationship with God in life, right? And always using God not only in your daily life, but in everything, in anything that you face. So that was today's message that I wanted to share about David and Goliath. People always take the main concept, which is God, who is the victor of these battles, right? Or that battle of David and Goliath. So that's what I wanted to share today. Hope you like it. Just I'm gonna try to come up with little short stories like that, and or testimonies, and because I love talking about biblical stories. I love history in general, but biblical stories, you know, I kind of could break it down more when I hear it from a secular point, and I'm like, nah, that's not, you're taking out the main concept out of it, right? So it's a beautiful Friday. I have a productive day ahead of me with my crew. It's a fitness thing with schools. I will probably get a little recording about it and then vlog about it later, and probably release it tomorrow or Sunday if I have time. But it's something that we do in the community of city of Las Vegas. And what I'm trying to do with the city, or in the city of Vegas, like what I'm doing today with the schools, sometimes I feel that's a Goliath to me, meaning it's too hard to accomplish. And sometimes I forget that God is with me, and with God I could do anything. You know, I might feel I'm too small, or not too knowledgeable, or not too educated to present these kind of ideas to the schools or to the system with this fitness thing, right? I mean, I don't want to talk too much about it because it's still in the works, but I go through that. Like I say, I'm a warrior, right? And I feel like I'm David's brothers, and I'm like, damn, that the problem is too big. But you know, sometimes I gotta get back and learn to build that confidence in God, and just trust that He's with me in anything that I face. Might not be something physical. Like I said, it could be in ideas or just anything in life, that when I feel it's hard, or when we feel it's hard, we can always go to God and He would help us, you know? So hope you guys like this video. I'm gonna always try to drop content like this on stories. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment if you have anything that I just shared about. Make sure to just leave a comment, and have a great day. Peace.